It is a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing a hygienist named Sarah Thiel, who started something very, very exciting. It's called www.cezoom.com. Sarah is a dental hygienist who has multiple jobs, including working clinical hygiene 1 day a week, secretary on the Dental Hygiene Committee of the New Mexico Dental Board of Healthcare, WREB examiner, mom of 3 little kids, and spends most of her time launching her new company, CEzoom. She is very passionate about educating dental professionals about the importance of obtaining continuing education, but most importantly, quality education. Well, thanks for joining me today, Sarah. How are you doing?
Good.
So how old are those 3 kids?
We've got a 3-year-old little boy, a 5-year-old little girl, and a 9-year-old little girl.
So is it 3 for 3 or 3? Are you going to keep up with me? I did 4.
Nope, I'm done. Sorry.
Really? You're not going to at least tie me?
I'm a competitive person, but not in that arena.
I can't believe it. When I had kids, we had 4 boys in 60 months.
You're insane.
Basically, I lost a decade of sleep.
Easily, yeah.
But so tell me, where along your journey of life did CEzoom come from?
So basically, it came about whenever I was pregnant with my 2nd daughter. I realized I was due to renew my license, and I hadn't done any CE. I worked 2 days a week, but my life was taking care of my kids. You know, I still had an older daughter, and I just got in the hustle and bustle and forgot. And then I was like, oh, no, I need to get CE. So I searched and searched. I had no idea where to look for conferences because there's not like a website you can go to find that. So I just didn't know. I was completely uneducated in this department. So I found the American Dental Hygiene Association was in Albuquerque that year. So I signed up, got all my live CE that I had to have. And as I was walking out the door with my big pregnant belly, the gust of wind caught my certificate and took it. Because I was opening the door and I had all my exhibitor stuff in my hands. And I opened the door and my certificate just sailed. And I was like, no, I just spent so much money on that. And I have to have it or I'm going to lose my license. So I ran after it. I got it, shoved it in my glove box, got home, left it there because I knew it was safer there than anywhere. And then I had my baby, got my renewal notice in the mail, and I gathered all my CE that I'd done online and, here and there, and grabbed that certificate and set it all on my table. And I had to leave for some reason. I come back an hour later, and there's chocolate milk all over all of it, completely destroyed. I couldn't read. I had no idea what classes I'd been to, who taught them. I had no idea. So I got on the New Mexico website, and I just, entered in what I could remember. And I was like, what is wrong with this process? Why are we still using paper? And then my brother just happened to mention that his company built apps for a living. And so that's how it started.
So who's your brother and what company does he work for?
His name is Jed Ivy. He works for...
Jed Ivy?
Ivy. I-V-I-E. And he...
Like fly jet, like J-E-T-I-E?
Jed.
Oh, Jed. J-E-D.
Just think Jedi. That's what we call him.
Oh, J-E-D-I-E? Jedi?
Jed Ivy. Yeah.
Oh, his last name's Ivy.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So it's Jed Ivy.
Yeah.
Is he a Jedi Knight? Does he remind you of a scene from Star Wars?
Well, that's his nickname. Yeah.
So he works for an app producing company.
Well, he does, but I actually didn't use them.
Oh, okay.
It's what got my juices flowing.
So he just said you should make an app.
Well, he told me I was crazy. He's like, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Because, he mentions that and everybody's like, oh, I've got this great idea, which is exactly what I said. He's like, no, everybody has a great idea. So we ended up not using him. We use Translucent Developments. They're amazing. They built us a pretty sweet program.
Translucent Developments?
Yes.
And are they out of Albuquerque?
Nope, they're out of Phoenix.
Really?
Yep.
Hey, well, introduce me to them. I've always had I've had 2 full-time app developers since we launched the Dental app. But you know what's crazy? It's business is supply and demand. Yep. And app developers make more than dentist graduates out of dental school.
Trust me, I know that.
Yeah, and I remember when I started Dental Town in 1998. Not one of those developers made less than a dentist. I mean, it was it's supply and demand, and right now every Fortune 500 company wants a series of apps, and they just can't find app developers.
Exactly.
So I'm on your app right now. Wait,
It's a website.
that company's called Translucent what?
Development.
Translucent Development, and you'll fix me up with them?
I will.
I'm always in the market for another app developer. So I got your app on my iPhone right now. So walk us through that. If my homies go to www.cezoom.com,
Correct.
what are they going to find? What is it going to do for them?
So basically, this is a way for hygienists, dentists, any dental professional to track all their continuing education against their state's rules and regs. So there's no questions asked. If you go to put in a course, so the biggest one that's getting turned away by dental auditing boards is ergonomics, because it is 100% self-help course, and a lot of states don't accept those. A lot of people don't know that. So if you go to put that in your state and it doesn't count, it's going to tell you. And so you know, oh, I still need to get 3 more CE, even though I got CE, the state doesn't count it. So our website is designed, we have all 50 states in there to help you track your CE. But we also have a conference app with it that will make the whole process fully automated. So you just show up to your conference, you sign in to the front desk person, they'll check you in on the system so the system knows that you're there. You'll enter your verification code at the end from your mobile phone or from a laptop or an iPad, whatever you have. You just enter a verification code. It'll automatically take you to do a survey, and then it will automatically distribute your certificate, all through one little process. And
nice.
It's also tracked against your state.
So, go ahead.
In participating states, you can submit that CE straight to the state, so you don't ever have to print it.
So then, what's your business model? How much does this cost to do?
So for that whole process, it's free to the professional.
So then, how do you not be a volunteer? So you must have advertisers then.
Not yet. We basically get paid from the conferences because we're a complete CE management platform for them. We keep track of all of the attendees. We keep track of all their surveys, all of their everybody who received a certificate. So if they're ever audited, if you're AGD PACE approved or ADA CERP, you can submit all this information straight for your renewal.
Good for you. You're just going for it. That is awesome. Now, do states care if it's ADA approved or AGD PACE approved? I mean, do they know or care about the distinction between those?
So it's funny. I'm actually learning a lot about the states, and I probably shouldn't say much, but they do like to see ADA CERP and AGD PACE because that's easy. You know, a lot of states accept a lot of different places like hospitals and schools, and for the person doing the audit, that's difficult because then they have to go and make sure that school is accredited and make sure that hospitals really exists, you know. So the ADA PACE, AGD PACE, ADA CERP, that's a no-brainer. It's easy. So,
nice. Yeah. And so this is Dentistry Uncensored, so talk about the states. Are some states really anal and all that, and some more just laissez-faire and just have it on the honor system, or what's that landscape like?
You're exactly right. Either they're extreme and they audit every little thing you could think of, or they don't do anything.
So who are the ones that are anal? Oh, come on, give us the anal.
The anal ones.
What's that?
I can tell you the anal ones because that's good.
Okay.
For one, Arizona.
Oh, I know. We have something like I forget, it's something like 3% of the dentists, but like 25% of the board actions and whatever do they call that when you get spanked by the board?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a quarter of them from one state. It is Sheriff Joe tough out here.
It is, and I love it. I think everyone should follow after Arizona. They've done a phenomenal job keeping, which is hard. You guys have some really tough requirements. So for whoever's doing that auditing, they should probably use our program. It'd help them a lot.
Wow. So who's tough?
Arizona, Utah. Those are the only two.
It must be the Mormons then.
Must be
the Mormons. They're half the dentists in Utah and Arizona. But so those are the tough ones. And then are a lot of states just laissez-faire? Like what percent of the states would you say is it's the honor system and they just trust you unless some legal thing was to come up or something?
I haven't actually talked to every single state. And it's funny because you read the rules, which I've done many times to make our system as perfect as possible. And you think that they're auditing, and then you get down to the nitty gritty of it, and they finally admit, we're not. Okay, leave us alone. That's what they tell me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, then you need to use, because we have an auditing system for the state. It's completely automated. I'm like, this is a easy service to use that will help you, and they're like, nope, it's fine the way it is. I'm like, okay.
Well, if you go through history, there's two things that all humans don't like. They hate transparency and they hate checks and balance, competition, whatever. And when you don't know what you got 3 kids. Whenever my 4 boys would all of a sudden run into one bedroom and shut the door, I mean, you only had to have an IQ of 3 to think they're doing something. You walk in there and they found the Oreos or whatever the hell, something's going down. And when you don't know what Germany's doing, I mean, the next thing, Poland has this blitzkrieg of tanks rolling over them. And they also don't like competition. I remember when I was a little kid, if you walked down the street on a Saturday, every third garage was dad and his brothers and kids trying to fix up a crap Chevy, Pontiac, Ford. Right. And then there was the Germans and the Japanese that started selling cars that worked. And that's the only thing that made American cars great. And what I tell dentists is they get mad whenever I post something about a dentist getting arrested or a dentist doing this or some kid dying in the chair. But what I like about Arizona and Utah being tough is if you don't police your own profession tough, then you're inviting other agencies, mainly the government, to come in and do a job. And like this, like these pediatric anesthesia desks. I mean, you can't go a month without seeing one on Facebook, and it's like if these states don't crack down, I mean, imagine one of your kids goes in for a pulpotomy and chrome steel crown and dies in the chair because of wrong anesthesia. And in Texas, I mean, that's happened half a dozen times last year. And if they don't get it into gear, because like the Texas State Board, they've had complete all new management almost every year for the last 3 or 4 years. And if that's what's happening at the board, and little kids are dying in the chairs, you bet someone else who the dentists aren't going to like is going to come in there and do a U-turn right on them. So I like what you're doing. So what else do you want to talk about on your website? So can I find, if I'm a dentist or a hygienist, can I find courses to go to?
Yep. We have, mostly right now, we have live courses listed. We're going to start listing the ones that are webinars, sort of like what you guys have on your website. We're going to advertise those to people because one really cool feature, because I struggled so much finding my courses, is we send out notification. We have a notification system. So you can pick, like right now mine's set at 500 miles that I'm willing to travel. So if there's a course listed within 500 miles of my area, I'm going to find out about it. The person, whoever's doing the conference or the course, will put it into our website. Once they submit it, it takes about 3 or 4 days, and then that notification will go out to everybody in that radius, right to that direct. They've asked for this information because they want to know where these courses are. And so we're just trying to build that database right now to just get every conference, every course we can find, just so it's a good one place for everybody to go to find good CE. That's quality. We won't post anything that's not good quality CE.
Do you know Brian Harris out here in Arizona?
I don't.
Why don't you send me an email at howard@dentaltown.com, and I'll see it. There's one of my buddies, Joe Harris. He had 4 kids, and 3 of them are dentists, and one of them's a dental lab tech. And I always tried to be his friend because he was 10 years older than me with 4 kids. So I'd always want to get dad advice from him, and he was so nice. We go to courses and share a hotel room together. So after a long day of a dental course, we'd sit up there in bed all night talking about, how the hell to raise four boys. But he had a son, Joe Harris had a son named Brian Harris, who I think was thinking about something like this years and years ago, and he kind of went down the path, but then he kind of got busy with life, got married, kids. I think he has 2 dental practices, but he'd be a great networking opportunity for you.
Sure.
But it's Brian Harris, and I think he's got an office in Phoenix and Mesa or something like that.
So the really cool thing about CE Zoom compared to all these other platforms is we have the full system. There's a ton of people out there that'll have just the CE tracker or just the CE management or just the survey, or you know what I mean? We've got it all in one place. So your customers don't have to leave the site to go do everything. It's great.
And then you're on Twitter too.
Oh, I have a login for Twitter. I don't know how to use it yet.
You have a login for Twitter?
Yep.
Here it is. Here it is. So you're at CE_Zoom on Twitter. At CE_Zoom. So what else? So what else you want to tell my homies about your product? This is your chance to talk to thousands of dentists about your deal. What else you want to tell them?
Well, really what I want people to understand is that I think the key message I'm trying to get across here is that continuing education is very important. I would not want to go to a dentist who has been practicing for 30 years and never gotten education, like good quality. I don't want him to, if he's just doing these online courses just to get through it, I don't want to see him. I want the newest, the best. Go to good classes like laser training or implant training just to better your knowledge. Don't just go to get your courses passed for your state. That's kind of the message I'm trying to help is get good education. Don't just get it for fun or because you have to.
Well, that's why I did this podcast, because I wanted to make, the once a month study club for an hour, and you come home from work, you're exhausted, you got kids that want to see you, now you got to drive across town, sign in, eat rubber chicken, rice pilaf, and listen to a local speaker. I thought this Skype and being able to talk to you, like I'm in Phoenix, you're in Albuquerque, I thought this is really cool. But one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is because since I came out of school, all the people that complained about the hours they had to take to renew their license was at the far left, and they had miserable careers. I've done this for 30 years.
Yeah.
And then all the people on the right, they got their FAGD, their MAGD, and consumed 100 hours of CE a year or more.
Right.
Man, they just went right to the top in every area, whether it be quality dentistry, finance. There was a study years back on the difference between MAGD net income versus general dentist net income. And they doubled. They doubled the net. And so anything, that's why I want to have you on the show, is anything to help these homies get turned on to more continuing education, make it faster, easier, higher quality, lower cost. I mean, it's all about life is an attitude. Your attitude determines your altitude. And you're just a summary of your 5 best friends. So when you go to CE and you see the cream of the crop talking and lecturing, and then you also start noticing that every time you go to a CE course, it's the same few dentists from your zip code that go. So now those turn into your drinking buddies, and now you're drinking beer, watching a football game, talking about root canals, fillings, and crowns. And the next thing you know, 10, 20, 30 years later, it was just an outstanding career.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the point. You want it to be fun. I mean, that's the point of this whole thing. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I almost hate that the states mandate you to get a certain amount, because I think it turns people off because they have to get it, But
if I had cancer and I had to go to a cancer doctor, I wouldn't want to find out that he had to take 12 hours a year. I mean, I'd want to find out that he had to take 200 hours a year, and then he had to close down his office, for 2 weeks a year just to get his license renewed. I mean, I would want that, I'd want that guy to just. I'd want her to just be saying that's all I do is take CE. I wouldn't want to find out that the guy treating my cancer, hasn't been to a CE course in years. I'm getting, 10-year-old treatment.
Exactly. Yeah. So how do you guys, I know you offer a lot of CEs on your platform. What do you do with your certificates at the end? Do you just email them to people?
Yeah, when you take an online C course, Dental Town, we have for the AGD and the pay still, you have to have a question, a test. So you take that test, and then you got to get 70% right, and you pass it. And then the minute you pass it, it emails you a course completion certificate.
Perfect.
If there's any way you want to network with Dental Town on this, I mean, you can always email or come down here, or anything you want to do. I mean, I want to help you any way I can.
Yeah. So what we could do is, instead of you emailing it to everybody, you can just automatically send it to their CE Zoom account. That's what we're doing with several other CE platforms that I don't want to name them just because it's not their show. But
no, you can name them. Don't matter to me.
So I've been working with Crest quite a bit because they offer a ton of CE. We haven't got it all set up yet or anything, but that's kind of the idea, is to do that. And then we also, another thing we do, if you're a company.
I got to stop you right there, though. You said Crest. You know why you said Crest?
Why?
Because you're an American. a company loses its legal brand name if everybody starts using it as a ubiquitous word, like Kleenex lost its patent because Grandma started saying, "Hand me a Kleenex," and it was a tissue. Xerox lost their patent because people said, "Go Xerox me 5 copies," and they were using a Canon copier. So when your word is so Kleenex, Xerox, you lose your patent. And when you go around the world, and I've lectured in 6 continents, there is not a word for toothpaste in half the countries. It's called Colgate. Mama will say, put some Colgate on that, even though the kid might be using, one of 100, I mean, I've been to toothpaste companies in Philadelphia that make toothpaste under 1,000 different brands. So when you go around the world and you're seeing all these different brands of toothpaste, you can trade, just like VCRs. There's only one factory on earth that makes the VCR, and it's in Japan. So no matter what label it says, it's made in the same factory. So you went after Crest, because Crest is huge in America.
And I'm now regretting saying that because we're just still in negotiations.
But have you talked to Colgate?
Nope.
Because Colgate is a monster. I mean, when it comes to toothpaste, that's the 400-pound gorilla, and Crest is a monkey.
I disagree.
Well, that's because you're America. That's because you're in America.
Yeah, I probably sent Colgate about 15 emails and they don't respond. So
okay, so you do that. So send me the email, and I'll send it to my buddy. What's his name? Folia. He's a double doctor. He's a DDS and a PhD. Yeah, that's the head guy. You send me the email, get in return. I'll send to him, and I'll tell him to call you. Done.
Sounds. I hope it's that easy.
No, he'll call you. He'll call you. I'll put his cell phone number on the email. I'll do that. I'll put his cell phone number so then you can start calling. No, he's a great guy. He's the most.
Just like that.
Yeah, I think they're out there. Where are they? Out there somewhere like New York or around. I know you fly into New York City, but it's around there. Okay. But just a great guy. He's a dentist and a PhD. Nobody knows microbiology like that guy. I mean, he just eats, lives, breathes Colgate forever. So we'll do that. Okay. I think his name's Folia. But what else?
So actually, I was just thinking about this. We work with quite a few companies that offer free CE, like American Eagle Instruments.
Yep.
They use us.
Idaho.
Montana, I think.
Is it Montana? Okay, American Eagle.
They're in Montana.
Same damn thing. There's no people living in either one.
There's
Idaho, Montana. Just only a few birds and elk up there. American Eagle. What else?
So with these types of companies, what we do is we basically help them manage all their employees that are out presenting. So they do it on their own. They call, they make their webinars, and it's really hard for the person in charge, like Karen, to keep track of everybody. So we've offered them a way to keep track of everybody on one system. So say Stacy is speaking in Florida and Dee is in Oklahoma. They all use the same system. So Karen can just get on and look at all their surveys, see what everybody said about the product, what they said about the speaker, what they said about the facility or the webinar, just whatever. You get all that feedback, and she can just get on at any time and look and just make sure all of her employees are doing what they're saying. So it's almost kind of holding people more accountable out there that these big companies are paying them for, just to make sure.
Nice. Now, this is obviously a one-person show. You must have employees.
I have a business partner. That's it. We're about to start hiring some employees.
Is your business partner another hygienist, dentist?
Yeah, she's in Tucson, actually.
A hygienist in Tucson?
Yep, and her husband's a dentist for the VA.
And who's that?
His name's Brent Jackson. They just moved there about 4 years ago. He's the dentist for the VA. Katrina Jackson is my business partner.
With a K or a C?
With a K.
Katrina. Uh-huh. Well, yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe do you ever go out to see her in Tucson?
Oh, yeah.
Do you fly or drive?
I drive.
Well, why don't you both meet in Phoenix? I'm 8 hours from Albuquerque and an hour and a half from Tucson. We all should meet at Dental Town, and you can present to the whole team. And
awesome.
Yeah, and I'll help you with any contacts you need or anything like that.
Great. No, this is awesome. Keep going.
Yeah, whatever,
Just kidding.
whatever you want. So Katrina Jackson, so she's a hygienist and she married a dentist.
Yes,
Is that the biggest regret she has in life?
probably. I'm just
Probably.
kidding. No, I actually used to work for Dr. Jackson. They used to live here where I live, and I'm actually in Farmington, which is close to Albuquerque.
That's where Craig, my best friend, dentist from school, Craig Steichen, is from Farmington, New Mexico.
What?
His mother
know?
sold real estate, and I forgot what his dad did.
Kid.
And he had two brothers. One's a MD, and the other one I forgot what he does. And now he's in Albuquerque. He's Mr. Cerac machine. He just eats, lives, and breathes. Root canal buildup, Cerac crowd, one appointment. He just, oh my God, it's his whole life. But one of the best damn dentists I've ever met in my life. And you haven't met Craig?
I'm gonna search him out next time I go to Albuquerque, though.
Oh, you're not in Albuquerque right now.
I'm in Farmington.
Oh, you're in Farmington. Well, his mom and dad, how big is Farmington?
It's very small.
Like how small?
That's why I can't believe I don't know who they are.
Yeah, well, I mean, like how many people live in Farmington?
That's a good, probably like 70,000 people.
Yeah, well, that's a good size town. 70,000 is big.
But I've been here my whole life, and I feel like I know everybody.
It's Steichen.
Stei.
Chen. And I swear to God, Craig Steichen is the best dentist I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he places the implants. He'll pull the tooth, place the implant.
He'll do it all.
He just does everything. I mean, it's like watching Beethoven play the piano. And I went all the way through dental school with him, and you learn real quick. Everybody that sat by him on the bench said, you know, it's like, okay, we could all go to art school and get a doctorate in painting, but then there's some kid over there that's painting like Michelangelo that never went to school. I mean, there's just some people just have a natural.
Just got it, yeah.
Yeah, and Craig could probably drink a 12-pack and put a blindfold over his head and do the best crown prep you've ever seen.
Okay, well, I have to meet him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Speaking him out.
Yeah. And when are we going to be out there? Because I'm lecturing out there, and Craig's picking us up. Yeah, I'm lecturing at the implant symposium. I think it's in it's on howardfarran.com. By the way, if my homies are listening, you ever want to know where I'm lecturing, go to howardfarran.com. But yeah, he's a great guy, and he's so what else? What else do you want to talk about?
I actually want to talk about your 2:30 in the morning email that I got the other day.
You know, I have never been a sleeper. I lived in a house with 5 guys through dental school, and they all tell people that they never saw me sleep. They say they always say he was up when we all went to bed, and he was already up when we got up, and I've just never been a sleeper.
I think that's probably why you are where you're at. You know, you use every minute of the day. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if I wake up, I'm just up and just laying there in bed all morning. So I sent you an email at 2 a.m.
Well, it was I don't know when you sent it, but it was one of your posts. I just got it in my email. You're talking about how you got started and how the company became what it is.
Huh. So you practice you practice 1 day a week?
Yes.
So how many offices have you practiced in your career?
Just 2.
Just 2?
Yep.
And what advice would you give from you're talking to primarily dentists. I don't really have any evidence that hygienists are watching this because every email I get, they always tell me who it is, and every email I get, it's always dentists under 30. I mean, that's pretty much, yeah, maybe probably 99%. Because it's the young people, they just got out of school, it's free.
Right.
They and I put out 1 a day, and there are all these forks in the road, so they just devour them. So talk to the dentist about what's the best way to work with a hygienist. What are things that annoy a hygienist? Talk about the other side of the fence. Because they live in their bubble. What's it like living in your bubble, and what's it like working with a dentist, and what's working for a good dentist, and what's an annoying dentist? Talk about all that stuff.
Okay, I love to talk about this stuff. So, Dr. Jackson, who I worked for first, Kat, my business partner, her husband, I worked for them, and it was amazing. It was probably the best job I've ever had in my life. Basically, he let me run the hygiene department. Like, I could do whatever I wanted. Like, I could see patients, like, you know how, like, some hygienists can do a cleaning in, like, 30 minutes. Sometimes the patient takes an hour. It just depends. I could do whatever I wanted with my schedule. So that was great. And he basically trusted all of my opinion. Anything I said about perio or the oral health care, he would come up and back me up no matter what. And then if he thought maybe that was questionable, he'll pull me aside later. He never once made the patient lose trust in me at all, which was awesome. And I have the same thing now with the dental office I work at now. The dentist, there's 3 of them. One of them has been a dentist for 30 years. He's actually totally somebody I look up to. He's just a very good dentist. He can do almost anything. And they're the same way. They come in, they say, what did you find? I mean, I read social media stuff all the time, and some of the stuff I hear these doctors doing to these hygienists, I'm appalled. I've never, fortunately, worked in an office like that. But I think to make your hygienist happy is kind of let her take the lead in the hygiene department anyway, with perio and stuff.
And when the doctor comes in there and says, you need ABC, and then leaves, what % of the time do they turn to you and ask you what your thoughts are on that?
100%.
I know. So I see the same behavior of the dentist when they don't let their hygienist diagnose. Right. They'll say, well, it's illegal. It's like, okay, well, name me one hygienist in prison for diagnosing. I mean, I don't even care about any law. If no one's ever gone to jail for this law, it's not a law. It's a recommendation made usually by a stupid politician that's probably corrupt. Right. And if I can't get on my same page with my hygienist and my associate dentist, then how do you think that affects your case presentation and case acceptance rate? And when you're in there arguing back and forth with the hygienist, these are always the doctors that when they diagnose 100 cavities, they don't even drill, fill, and bill a third of them.
Right.
And then when you get dentists that can keep their staff and support their hygienist and stand united. Same thing with the assistant. It's happening in that room too. She seats an emergency patient. The doctor walks in there and says, you need a root canal and crown. Then she skates out. They're turning to the dental assistant.
Right.
And if you can't get...
Is this true? Yeah.
And if you can't get your whole office on the same page, then your case acceptance rate is probably a third. And everybody who's got a case acceptance rate of 2/3 or more can at least sell everyone in their office. And I always thought to myself, you can't sell your hygienist, and she has 4 years of college, but you're going to sell some stranger that walks in off the street that, fixes transmissions for a living? I mean, does that make any sense to you?
No, and that you're exactly right. Like, I'll just write down everything I see on a piece of paper or in my head. And so when the doctor comes in, I give them, oral cancer exam. I do... we took x-rays. I want you to check between 30 and 31 or, you know what I mean? Like, I give them a heads up to see if they agree. And if they don't, then that's fine. But at least the patient's hearing all this. So they know I found it, they found it. And then for me, I won't sell something I don't believe in. And so if I don't feel like they need that filling or it's just stain, it's hard for me to back them up, which is very rare. It's only happened like twice. But, yeah, I think it's important for doctors to trust in their hygienist too. At least take our opinion because we do see it, and we see a lot more than they do because we're cleaning every single tooth. No,
you see a lot more because I'm 53 and you're 34. Your eyeball works, and you always see these young hygienists and young dental associates straight out of school, and they got some old, fat, bald, senile grandpa over here with 3.5-inch loops on. I mean, we have to leave those on to go to the bathroom, and then you're going to second guess what someone who's old enough to be your own child saw? Right. I mean, I have more faith in your eyeballs than any 53-year-old dentist in America. And not to mention you were in there the whole hour, and you were scaling every tooth. I mean, how could my 3-minute exam equal your 1 hour in the mouth?
Well, I'm glad you agree.
Yeah.
I wish every dentist did, but yeah.
Well, it's just obvious, and everybody that's all into like the 3.8 loops, they get a microscope to hang off the ceiling. They go to oral scanning with a $30,000 oral scanning to get rid of their impression materials. Because when they take that impression, they don't have 34-year-old eyes to go look at under a light with loops on it and say, oh yeah, that's perfect. They I like to scan my impressions in the lab because when I scan the impression, I get to see the prep 40 times larger on the screen. And every single time I see the prep the first time, my heart misses 3 beats. I'm like, oh, my God. And I got to go back and smooth this out or do something or whatever. And I always wonder to myself, I wonder what this would be like if I'd been 24 right now. I don't know but yeah, so magnification is everything as you get older. You're, right now you got vision. You're just losing your mind from the 3 kids.
Yes.
But you still got vision.
I have my vision. Well, and I was going to say something to that, though. like digital x-rays, it's the same thing. I remember looking at those films and we'd have to put our loops on and like you could never see anything. It's awesome. I'm so glad technology is coming along.
And the other thing with the view box was so insane because they made this foot-long view box of all that light telling your retinas to constrict.
Right.
But it's supposed to dilate around the little 1-inch x-ray. I mean, if anything, they should have made a mount to where, only the x-ray, had light going through it. Or
right.
But yeah, digital x-rays are amazing. And then you get the patients in on. But I think when the hygienist says, wow, you got a cavity, look at it right here on the digital x-ray, and it's going to need a filling or that's why you have it, whatever. That is so much more believable, and they're so less intimidated to ask you a question than they are when the doctor comes in.
Right.
And they feel home with you. You have a better, longer relationship, and yeah.
You do get those patients though that don't trust you at all. I've had those kind that are like, they'll like be so rude to me until the doctor comes in, and I've already told them all of this, and then the doctor comes in and they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, I just told you this, and you told me I was a liar.
Now, is there a demographic to that person? Is it like older, younger, boy, girl, any older?
Older, yep.
And is it more male, more female, anything?
Female.
So older females trust the doctor?
I think so. I think they're still stuck in the olden days when the dentist was the male. And even when we have a woman dentist at our practice, and sometimes when she comes in the room, they're like, even still, they look at her like, who are you? And I'm like, she's the doctor. They're just like, and they don't want her. When actually she's really good and she pays a lot of attention to detail and, she's great. I'd let her work on me.
So what else do you want to talk about being the hygienist and so dentist? I'm pretty sure you're talking to mostly all dentists.
Yeah.
Well, so give them something to hear about from your side. In anything from running the office, from working with assistants, office manager, whatever. Well, what do you think you wish they would all think about or listen to more?
So the office I work for now, it's a large office. There's 3 doctors. I think we have 12 hygienists. A lot of us are part-time. I'm 1 day a week. Most of them are 2 to 3. We do have some full-time hygienists as well, but we always have 6 at a time. And
how many chairs are in that office?
13.
And that's in Farmington?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's one of the biggest practices in town that's actually owned by the doctors. And so what I love about this practice is it just flows so smoothly. Like we just have the process down. And I think it helps us all like each other because no one's throwing each other under the bus for anything. When you get a big office like that, you have to be really organized in how the process works from check-in to check-out. So I don't know. I think everybody probably uses the same way, but the patient's here, it turns a different color. We know to go get them, bring them back. We know what to tell the doctors when they walk in. It's really a quick, seamless process that I think patients just feel really comfortable and know that we've got our crap together, And then when we walk them up front to the checkout, they already have the printout of what their next appointment's going to include. And so the person up front grabs it and says, okay, it looks like we're going to see you back. Like, I don't even have to make that awkward conversation to say, Sally needs a cavity filled. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they already know before we even get up there. And then they just make their way out the door. And
so what hygiene, that's a question that's always wondering. What hygiene reappointment works? I mean, do you pre-appoint them before they leave? Do you send them a card 2 weeks? Do you use one of these electronic things? Talk about because if you don't have any patient retention, then you just got to be addicted to new patient marketing the rest of your life.
I think it is so important to reschedule your patients at that appointment, even if they don't know what they're doing in 6 months.
And do you do it or does the front do it?
I do it because I know my patients and I know when they're going to want, like it's just more personal that way. I'm scheduling you back with me. You're my friend. I think that's the most important thing. I couldn't imagine just letting them go out the door without scheduling. That's crazy.
And what software do you use?
We use Dentrix.
You like it?
Mm-hmm. I love it. I've used EagleSoft before in school. I didn't really care for it. We tried some online thing. I don't know what it was. It was awful. It was a cloud-based one. I did love it that I could see it from home though.
So you pre-appoint my cleaning in 6 months.
Yeah.
Do you do anything before that? I mean, do you remind me 2 weeks before, the night before? Well, what else do you do?
We use Solution Reach. Have you heard of
Solution Reach, yeah.
it?
Did somebody big buy them, or are they?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just went to their headquarters last week, and I don't know. I didn't know.
Where's their headquarters?
In Utah.
Was it in Provo?
Lehigh. It's close to Provo, Lehigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I did kind of hear this story, but I think they got bought out several years ago. But the CEO still owns, like the guy who started it still owns 15% of the company, and he's still in it. He's still the CEO. But, yeah, no, it's awesome because it sends out emails to our patients. It sends out text messages. I love it. I've even gotten it for my cleanings that I forgot about. It'll remind me like 15 minutes before, and I'm like, oh yeah, jump in the car and go. It helps.
So tell them what Solution Reach does. I'm sure the CEO will love it if you talk about Solution Reach.
I'm probably not the best advocate for this, only that I can say that we love it. Basically, it'll send out our recall list. If patients don't reschedule, it knows and it automatically sends that out for us. We don't have to go through the whole system and figure it out. I'm trying to think of what else I've heard. It basically does our whole recall, everything. I got a birthday reminder the other day from them saying happy birthday, which, whatever. What else? There's a lot of things that it did.
They quit sending one to me because it only goes up to 50. So I maxed out on Solution Reach.
See, I think there's like a couple different companies, and we've tried them all, but this one is so far our favorite.
And it's in Lehigh, Utah, and you say that's near Provo?
Lehigh.
So did you drive there then from Farmington?
I did. My nephew was getting married, and
you couldn't talk him out of it?
I tried, but
yeah.
She's a really cute girl, so I'm happy for him.
Right on.
But I was just there, and I'm friends with Jackie. She works there, Jacqueline. And I called her up and said, can I have a tour? Just because I own a software company, and I just kind of wanted to see, like, the flow of how it all works whenever you do get that big. I just kind of wanted to,
Well, we're not very big, but if you're ever in Phoenix, I mean, we got 5 programmers. We have 50 employees, but 5 of them are in program. But yeah, next time you're downtown, it'd be fun to meet Kat and Brent.
Yeah, I'll bring them all. We'll all come. It'll be fun.
And then when I'm in Albuquerque next week, you got to come to that deal and see if you can, and we'll see Craig.
I'm sure that I actually am not busy that weekend, so I'll probably come up.
How far of a drive is Farmington to?
It's 2.5 hours.
Okay, so now let's talk. The most important thing is case presentation and case acceptance. I mean, dentistry has a national average of for every 100 cavities diagnosed, only 38 get drilled, filled, and billed. So imagine in your town if the fire department only put out 38% of fires. I mean, they would fire every single one of them. Imagine if the policemen could only catch 38% of the bad guys. They'd run them out of town. Right. But the entire sovereign profession of there's 211,000 dentists alive in the United States with a dental degree. They employ over 1 million people, and they basically put out just a third of the fires. So I want you to talk to my homies right now and tell them, how do you increase the odds that if a kid comes in with 2 cavities that you're going to get him drilled, filled, and billed?
I think a lot of it is I think all of it is education. If you teach those patients why, you can physically show them on the x-ray and maybe give them some material that you read to them. Don't just send them home with stuff. They're going to understand why it's so important for kids to get those cavities filled. I mean, it's an infection in their tooth, so the parents need to understand that. So I don't know. That's what I've learned a lot with perio, especially, is if my patients don't understand why they need this expensive cleaning, they're never going to get it. But the second I show them why and show them what it actually looks like in their mouth, and and I'm like, imagine if this was on your hand and you saw it every day, it's this open sore, you'd go get that taken care of. It's the same thing being in your mouth, just teach. I like to just use a little bit more dramatic experiences. I think it sells better. I think patients understand a little more and they pay attention more. So,
well, I'm glad you mentioned perio. You're a hygienist. The number one reason to leave a dental office in the United States is I just wanted to get my teeth clean and they said I needed these quadrants of blah blah root planing and cura. It's the number one reason. So talk more about it.
They're not educating. Instead of trying to sell, they need to educate. The education sells it.
Okay, but walk more details. I mean, are you walking them through their mouth with intraoral camera? Or are you setting them up looking at digital X-rays? Do you play X-rays. Videos? What do you do?
We do X-rays. I show pictures. We do intraoral camera. I show them where it's red and inflamed and bleeding. I talk to them about bleeding. You know, if your gums are bleeding when you brush, that's not good. You've got an infection. You know, a lot of people just think that's normal. So I just try and educate them to know this is a problem. This is an infection that affects your whole body. You know, do you want to get diabetes? Do you want to get heart disease? They're all related. You know, just kind of, I use the scare tactic. I know that sounds bad to say, but it's a true scare tactic. It works. I don't think I've ever had anyone tell me no. They always come back.
Well, it was the Greeks. You said we only had two emotions, fear and greed. And so you either got to wave a carrot at them that they do something good will happen, or you got to wave a stick at them and say you don't do that. And I still cannot believe that the sovereign profession of dentistry can't get a ban on red toothpaste. I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, you have to have a sink and a toilet that are white. I mean, usually it's grandpa going to flush that he's looking back and thinking, is that red? You know, I mean, colon cancer is the second largest killer in males. And why in God's earth is there red toothpaste? And I've seen it in 30 years. You know, some people had no idea. A lot of them spitting out red toothpaste. And toothpaste needs to be completely white. You know, blood has to show up in the toilet. I mean, if all the toilets were red and the toilet paper was red, you know how many grandpas would you just find them in dead one day in their bed and like, what the hell happened?
I know. Well, you know what? You know, one thing I'm doing is I'm going to all the doctor's offices in my town and educating the doctors because they don't even understand that it's all related. So I'm trying to teach them so they'll tell, you know, I think nothing drives me more crazy than when someone with diabetes comes in and they can't control it. They keep giving them more medication thinking that's going to help when they have this massive infection in their mouth. So I go in and talk to them, and we've had great results doing that. I think every hygienist should go talk to their primary care physician and just let them know. Just so, because, I mean, they're doctors. Yes, they're very smart, but they don't learn a ton about the teeth in school. They don't understand that connection. So we need to make them aware of it.
Yeah, and nutrition's a bad thing. Seems like a lot of my uncontrollable diabetics in my office are on insulin and are alcoholics.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, so you're drinking a 12-pack every day and you're on insulin. You know, I mean, you know, there's just, yeah, that's a tough deal. So I want to get to the other side. Some offices, the doctor, you know, he gets done doing the root canal and he just walks in his office and shuts the door and he has no idea the assistant's trying to kill the front office and the receptionist is blah, 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 blah. What's your, you know, the name of the game is just people. I mean, you know, my book was People, Time, Money. And if you get the best employees in your office and they all get along and they all play well in the sandbox, it's just awesome. And so many dentists, they just disengage them, and you know they almost go to their office and shut the door because they can't handle the drama. I mean, you read their post on Dental Town, you know, and they're talking about that. And it's like, well, so what advice would you give to these young dentists? Because everyone listening to you is under 30, and they're going to build a team. And the number one important thing is not what impression material you use, what bonding agent you use. It's did you get the best people in your town to join your team, and do they all play well in the sandbox? What advice could you give that 30-year-old kid on how to work towards that?
I think it's the office manager. That's really their job. They need to make sure that they're controlling what's happening in the office and only tell the doctors what's necessary, because you don't need to stress them out any more than they already are. I think that hiring a good office manager that is good with conflict and who won't choose sides will just kind of be a mediator of the situation. We have a great one at my office, and that's the only reason I say that. That's, I think, the reason our office runs so smoothly. It's because she just brings them into her office immediately, makes them hash it out, gives them advice, and usually the problem gets solved. Where I don't know if it works that way with every office, but we have a really good dental consultant too that comes in and.
Who's your dental consultant?
Bob Spiel.
Bob Spiel. Is he a local or a national?
A national. I think he lives in Utah.
I think 108% of all dental companies are from Utah.
I think so. I
I
might
think
have to move there. I think that's
I
what
think we've crossed the twilight zone with Utah. Is that Bob Steele? Is he a friend of yours?
I just know him from our office, but yeah, I think he's a
I
friend.
mean, do you ever email him or know his website?
Yeah, I have him on Facebook. We're Facebook buddies. So, but he's an excellent consultant. He comes in and he whips our office into shape. So
Bob Spiel, Speil.
it might be IEL. I'm not sure.
There, Spiel, I before E, Spiel Consultant. Let me see if I know this guy.
Oh, he lives in Idaho. I'm wrong.
Idaho, Utah, same damn thing.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Spiel Consulting, IEL. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, send me an email, Howard@dentaltown.com, and CC Bob and say his ears are burning, and maybe he'll. That'll be good. So I've only got you for 8 more minutes. What else do you think these young dentists know? Because right now they're working at corporate, and someday they want to go out and open up their own. Well, first of all, what are your thoughts on corporate?
I have very mixed feelings about corporate dentistry.
Well, share your mixed feelings. This is Dentistry Uncensored. What do you like, not like? Why are your feelings mixed? What do you think?
There's a couple offices in my town. However, I've observed at, just because my school made me when I was going to school, that I'm sorry, when you are seeing, as one hygienist, you're seeing 70 kids a day, I think there's a problem. That bothers me. Somehow they get away with it. I don't know how. That kind of corporate, I hate. And I have friends who've worked there, and they hate it too. It's sad. These kids they need a lot more attention than what they're getting. They need education, and they just need a little bit of time, and they don't get that. So I hate that. But then I've also seen I think there's different kinds of corporate dentistry. There's kinds where the dentists actually run their own ship. Those are okay because they still are there for the patient care. It's the ones where there's somebody up top telling everybody what to do. And you have to make these numbers or you get fired. I hate those.
Well, I posted on Facebook today. Let me show you this. In defense of some of the corporates, and like I say, when you say corporate, it's kind of silly because almost all the dental offices in America are incorporated. Most of them are a PC or an LLC. But what you and I mean by corporate is 50 or more offices in multiple states. But I saw this very interesting this morning. In Georgia, of the 3,872 licensed dentists, only 337 take Medicaid or Medicare. So that's only 8.7%. And when you look at a car, you can buy a Lamborghini, you can buy a Ferrari, a Mercedes, a Cadillac, a Pontiac. It's price segmentation from the number one selling car. I mean, a Ford Escort sells more cars than a Ford Taurus just because it's half the price.
Right. And
when you get to the very low price market in a lot of states, everyone's doing the high end. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to make you a Chevy and a Pontiac and a Cadillac and a Lamborghini. But like in Georgia, the government's saying that they have 1.5 million children on Medicaid, and they're having problems finding providers. Now, the obvious answer is your price is too low. I mean, if you got 3,872 dentists and only 337 signed up, I mean, that's all. Come on. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket science to figure out your price is too low. California, I couldn't believe it when they were shocked that when they drastically raised their Medicaid prices, more dentists signed up for it. It's like, hello. I mean, because what they do. I mean, think about it. The average dentist, according to the ADA, has 65% overhead or 2/3 overhead, and then Medicaid comes out with a fee schedule at 1/3 below the price. That now you're a volunteer.
Right.
But then when you drop it another 10, 20%, now we're supposed to go to dental school and lose money.
Right.
To treat the state's kids. I mean, so once they reduce the fee a certain amount, they're delusionary. I mean, but yeah, that's always going to be income redistribution. It takes a village to raise a child. I only got you for 4 more minutes. What's your last plug for cezoom.com?
Sign up. You got to try it out. And we're always open to feedback. If anybody has any suggestions or any ideas for us, we're open for sure.
Now, when you say sign up, you mean so on the website you'd go to www.cezoom.com and sign up on your desktop. But on the iPhone, smartphone.
Nope, it's the same thing. We haven't created our app yet. It's coming. We wanted to create the full system before we did the app. So that's next. So
okay, well, I think that the key to any dentist listening to this day, I mean, if I had to give them one pearl to be great, it would be to devour at least 100 hours of CE a year. Get your fellowship in anything. I don't care if it's a fellowship in the Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, a fellowship. I got mine in the Mish Implantology, the AGD, all that stuff. Because you're gonna feed your mind with great stuff. You're gonna eagles fly with eagles, turkeys fly with turkeys. So your new norm is all super achievers, as opposed to your old norm. That was one of my tricks in dental school. This was pretty rude to say, but I did it on the first day of school. There was 88 boys on my floor at Creighton, and when I talked to your counselor, they would say that they didn't want to talk about my goal of going to dental school. They said, look. 9 out of 10 of you guys are not going to get in, and you need a backup plan. I didn't want to talk about my backup plan. And he'd always kept saying to me that 5,000 people would apply to Creighton Dental School, and they're going to accept 50, and 4,950 aren't going to accept it. So what are you going to do if you're that? And so I called it a 4950. And when I was at Creighton, everybody that I met, I'd just say to myself, is this the 50 or is this the 4950? And I'd be sitting there in my dorm in the 4950s, and I would say, hey, let's go out, or hey, there's a concert, or hey, there's this. But I knew Randy Kerwin was going to make it. I knew Gary Isolde was going to make it. I knew Joe Dubkin was going to make it. And then they'd say, oh, you want to go out drinking? And I'd look at him. I'd get all excited that I'd go look over at Dubkin and Kerwin and Isolde and say, what do you think, guys? And I go, no, dude, we got a test on Tuesday. We're going to the library. And I'd think, damn.
I have to go to the
library. And so I mirrored the behavior of the 50. And I stayed away from the 4950, and that's what I love about dental CE, because you hang out with some dentists, they'll tell you the economy, Obama, blah, 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 and it's all, no one can do good.
Right.
And then you hang out with other dentists, and I mean, my God, they're just reaching for the stars, they're turning down business, they're just achieving every dream they want, and it all comes down to the bottom line, CE.
Yep, I agree.
Take 100 hours a year, hang out with the right people, and track it all at cezoom.com. Sarah Thiel, thank you so much for spending an hour of your time with me today, and I thought you were awesome, and hopefully you get to meet my buddy Craig Steichen. My God, he'll take you under his wing. He's one of the greatest guys in the whole world.
Great, for sure. Well, I'll see you in a week then.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.